I know we've been gone for a while, and I really wish that it was because we just took a break for Christmas and New Year's. But unfortunately, it's something so much worse than that.
I just want to start by saying this is not going to be a happy video. So if you're here looking for one of our fun, happy challenge videos, it's not going to be one of those. And if you're not ready for something that's sad, just don't watch it. If you follow our family though, you followed our channel for a while and you know us, and you want to know what's happening, why we haven't posted a video in I think 6 weeks now, then this video will explain that to you. Here goes. I'm gonna attempt to get through this without crying. I promise you it's not gonna happen. So the last video that we made was our Decorate With Us for Christmas video. If you saw that, you know that at the end it ended really abruptly. We had taken a break from filming because we'd filmed late into the evening and then we were gonna finish filming and we never got to because of what happened. That's why it ended abruptly and we were just not able to give it a nice ending. We couldn't do any more than we did and we just wanted to get that video out for you guys.
The last video that we filmed was our putting up Christmas decorations, and the day after that we were supposed to finish decorating our house, but that's when the whole thing happened.
Everything happened.
So that's why we haven't been filming. It's been a lot on our family.
So on November 18th, which was a Thursday, we went to get our Christmas tree. We wanted to decorate the house early. We just felt ready for Christmas. We thought it'd be really fun to decorate. We'd never decorated our house in November like that, so it was super early for us, but it was something we really wanted to do this year. So we went and got our Christmas tree and we came home, we put it up. We had a bunch of little things happen that day, so it ended up getting really late. We had to get a new tree stand, I had to go back to the store, whatnot. But we put the tree up. If you saw that video, you saw that we were all just having fun. Our pets were all around us during the video. Indigo was on my shoulder when I put the tree up. We were so happy. We were having so much fun. We were really excited about Christmas. And then the next day Rachel had to work. So we figured we would finish the video on Saturday. We would decorate the whole house, we would decorate the tree. The next day was Friday. Rachel had to go to work. I dropped her off at work at 4, and at 5 o'clock I took the pets outside, which is what we do pretty much every day. I took the dog out, Lily, to throw the ball for her. Finn and Gus always come outside and lay around on the patio while we do that, and Indigo was on my shoulder. And as you guys all know, if you watch our channel, Indigo is free flight trained, so that was real important to us as bird owners, that she always had the ability to fly, and we trained her to go outside and she always stayed right in our backyard. So we learned all of that from Bird Tricks channel. If you don't watch them on YouTube, they're amazing bird trainers, and we learned tons from them, and Indigo's the best trained little bird because of it. So anyway, we were outside, I was throwing the ball for Lily and Indy was on my shoulder, and all of a sudden Indigo flew off my shoulder and started flying big circles in the yard. She was screeching like her warning whistle, which we all have heard before. I don't think I've ever heard her do it outside. We always heard her do it inside, and she would do it when we like brought out our steam mop, for example. She was afraid of the steam mop, and every time it came out she would do that whistle. And anyway, she did that in the backyard, and she was flying these big circles in the backyard and she was screaming. I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, I had no idea what she was panicking about, but I was watching her and I was like, Indigo, you know, come here, what's going on? And all of a sudden she took this turn in between the two houses, which she generally didn't do. I mean, every now and then she'd fly around that little side and come right back. She took a turn between the houses so I couldn't see her anymore, and instantly I heard this scream and I knew she was in trouble. It was not a scream I've ever heard her make before, and I don't think I even managed to like run towards her because it was so fast, but it was like a scream. Half a second later, this brown thing came flying out from between the houses. I couldn't even see it, it was so fast. All I saw was brown and big, and I couldn't see her, but I could hear her screaming, and I knew it had her. And it took her through our backyard real fast. I mean, it was like, we're talking seconds, like it was gone, and it flew into the green belt behind our house, which is all like a wooded area. I could hear her screaming the whole way out. And I screamed and I ran as fast as I could into that green belt, but by the time I could even get out of our yard, it was over. Like, I couldn't hear anything anymore. There was no sound and there was no sight of this big brown bird, this hawk. I now know was a hawk. I ran out there and I was just praying and looking for her everywhere, praying to God for help for this, that maybe this thing dropped her, and somehow she got away by some miracle.
I don't even know how to explain it because I wasn't really there. I just, like, our mom ran in and she was crying and we were like, what's going on? And she said, like, a hawk took Indigo. And we were like, oh, like, what do we do?
I immediately ran outside. I was like in pure shock, and we started going into the woods behind our house, just searching.
We
and
immediately ran to the woods, yeah.
like, it was weird because for the first, like, that entire day that happened, I could not stop crying. The day after, I couldn't stop crying, and then it was just like nothing. I just felt a little numb almost, and I almost felt bad because I couldn't cry. Like, I felt so sad, but I couldn't cry.
I came home and I got the twins, and everybody freaked out, and we all ran out there. And we searched those woods and called and searched and called. And after a little bit of time, we decided Annalise should go back home because if Indy does come home and if she's injured, we need to be there for her. So Annalise stayed near the backyard and Julie and I continued searching, and Julie was like gone. I mean, she was everywhere in those woods. She would not come home. I could talk to her on her phone and she was like, where are you? I can't even see you anymore. And she was just like searching. And we have coyotes out there. We have bobcat that lives out there. Like, it was just awful all the way around. Like, if she's dropped somewhere, we've got to find her because there's a lot of stuff out here that will take her.
Well, when she left, the first few hours, I was like, I'm not gonna let myself cry because she's gonna come back. Like, there's no point in wasting tears on this. Like, she's gonna come home soon. Like, it's totally fine. And I was out as soon as I heard that she was taken. All of us were out in the woods, and Rachel was working at the time, so she didn't even know what was going on. But all of us were out in the woods, and Annalise stayed close to home just in case she came back. Mm-hmm. But I was out in the wooded area for, like, since I heard until, like, way late at night.
So we searched and we searched, and there was a point where I realized I needed to get Rachel. Like, I had to tell her. I didn't want to have to go tell her what happened, but I had to go get her. So I went to her job and I got her early and I brought her home.
It was so heartbreaking to come home and to hear that she was missing in the greenbelt behind our house. So I was at work. My manager got a phone call that my mom was gonna come pick me up early. I was like, that's weird, maybe we have some sort of last minute video segment to film, or something came up, or I don't know what. So my mom showed up and she kept like gesturing for me to get in the car, and I'm like, but wait, my food's almost ready. And then I realized that she was crying, so I just left the building, got in the car, and then she told me that Indigo had been taken by a hawk like 40 minutes prior to her coming to pick me up, and that her and my sisters had been looking for her in the greenbelt, and they hadn't heard her, couldn't find her. So we got home, I immediately tossed on a jacket and went looking for her and whistled and called, and we did this for a long time. We searched probably till about 10 o'clock at night. It was a while. And then we just went home and we kind of cried and we prayed and we hoped that she would come back. And then the next day we repeated it. We left the lights on the back front porch all night just in case she came back. I put her stand out there, and we waited a long time, and she didn't come back.
And we were searching for her for around 3-4 days, and I wouldn't let myself believe that she was gone. And I really didn't start crying until the second day probably, because it was just so hard, you know?
I had come back inside from looking. I was crying so hard I could hardly see, and I had such a bad headache. So I come back inside and I took a picture basically of just me crying, and I was like, I'm gonna do this because I want to look back on it with Indigo, and I want to say there was nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. It was like all just like
now when I see that picture, I usually cry because I was so sure that I was just gonna see her and it would be.
Yeah, my heart was so set on her coming back. I was like, she's gonna come back. There's like this is just like a warning almost, like she's gonna come back. There's no saying that she's not, and then she didn't. And I remember probably 2 weeks after all of this happened, I was still like, she's coming back. Like, someone found her and brought her home. Like, that's probably what happened. Like, she's gonna come back.
I think the hardest part of it was accepting it. Like, in my head, it was like, she's alive out there, or someone found her and they'll reach out like soon, and it was like I couldn't accept that she was gone. I couldn't. Like, my mind would just come up with all these ways that she could still be alive. Yeah, that was really hard.
So, I just feel really bad that I didn't even get to say goodbye to her.
It's been the hardest 6 weeks of our lives. We have all just experienced such incredible broken hearts over this. Indigo is such a special part of our lives. I've had a lot of pets in my life. We have 4 cats and a dog right now, and I can assure you nobody has left a mark like Indigo. Like, all the personality in the world in that little bird.
It didn't feel real. The house, I remember, it's getting a little more normal, but it's felt so empty without her. And you wouldn't think, because, I mean, she's just a little tiny. She was so little. She was like a baby.
She was, like,
so
so
you wouldn't
tiny.
think that it would feel that different without her, but she was always there. She was always whistling and flying around the house and on your shoulder and with you. So when it just felt so weird without her here. It felt so empty.
She had so much attitude. Like, she was always like talking or chirping, or she would sometimes fly around and scream. And like after that, it was just so quiet in the house. It felt so eerie. Like, it was so hard.
It really was. I mean, I guess I always thought, you know, pets die all the time, and we've had pets since we were little, a lot of them, so we've always had pets die, but it's never been as painful as this one. She was such a part of our family. It's so hard.
From my point of view, my mom, I know, is probably taking the blame for it, but it's not her fault in the slightest. Like, she was out there throwing the ball for Lily, and Indigo was on her shoulder, and then she panicked and flew, and the hawk came down and grabbed her, but no one could have really anticipated that. She didn't see the hawk in the sky, it wasn't screaming, it wasn't sitting in a nearby tree or roof that she could see, and I don't blame her in the slightest. Sometimes these things happen, and I know that we're probably gonna get a lot of backlash for this, but to be honest, I would rather Indigo live a full happy life getting to fly around and be outside and enjoy the sunlight than being a bird with clipped wings stuck in a cage for 15 to 30 years. I would hate that for her, and I would never have done that to her, but at the same time, it was also kind of a freak accident. Like, birds do get taken by hawks, pet birds. Even like there was someone in our neighborhood or someone in the next neighborhood over who had their dog taken by a hawk right in front of them. And to me, that's crazy. These hawks, they're so brazen. They'll fly down and take people's pets. Like, I didn't really mind them before. Sure, I don't really want them around my house, but I don't care if they come around either. I mean, everything has to eat to survive, but now
another part of why I haven't wanted to make this video is I know there's going to be some criticism, and I'm going to address some of that stuff real quick because I feel like it's important to do. Just proactively address the thoughts that are, or the comments that are going to come at us. So, you know, we follow Bird Tricks. I have actually talked to Jamie about this exact situation. They're wonderful people. They have said that it is a freak accident. Like, you can only prepare so much or protect your animals so much with regards to things like that. You can take certain precautions, and there are things we could have done. You know, one of the things that I learned is that predatory birds watch patterns.
Apparently, hawks watch for patterns. I didn't really know this. I guess I should have expected it because it's a predator. It's got to figure out a pretty solid means to hunt, so looking for patterns in prey animals' behavior is a pretty smart way to do it.
But every day at 5 o'clock we take this little green bird outside, and there's birds that are watching that. They see it, and they see it for weeks, and then one day they decide to go for it. So that was one of the things we could have done that I had no idea about. We could have taken, you know, not taken her out every day at around 5 o'clock. Wintertime, they're much more brazen because they're hungrier. There's not as much to eat out there. So maybe during the summer months, she was much safer. They weren't gonna come down near where I was standing, but during the winter months, they're hungry. They're willing to take chances. That was another thing I wasn't aware of. So there are certain precautions. I wish I had learned about them because I would have taken them for her.
When neighbors would walk by with their dogs or just going on a casual evening walk, she would land on the fence and she would watch them. If they came up to the fence, sometimes she'd hop onto their shoulders, and everyone loved her. So every time someone passes our house, sometimes we'd have our window open by the table and I'd hear them say, "Oh, this is the birdhouse." And now there's no more bird here, so.
But I do want to address the situation where, I know there's a lot of people out there with birds who literally don't even let them fly. They clip their wings. They get a bird, they clip their wings. It's an antiquated, outdated notion that birds' wings need to be clipped. And it is a controversial topic, but I feel very strongly on this point, and I have since long before I got Indigo. I've thought this. In fact, I didn't want a bird our whole lives. I never wanted a bird because my whole experience with birds was birds in cages. Wings clipped, sitting in cages all day long. And to me, that's no life. We had a little bird when I was a little girl, a little parakeet named Rocky. His whole life was spent in the corner of our living room in a cage, and I don't think he even lived very long, and why would he? He was probably heartbroken sitting in that stupid little cage, staring at his little mirror, talking to himself in it. Like, that's not a life for a bird. In the lost and found groups that I'm now a part of, I have seen a lot of posts about birds that have gotten out of their houses and gotten lost with clipped wings. So for the most part, depending on how you clip a bird's wings, they can still fly, oftentimes not with the agility that a flighted bird can fly, and so that can get them into trouble because they can get up and away and then they can't make it back. If you clip them so far that they drop like a rock when they go to fly, well, I mean, now they're not going to fly at all because it's just plain too dangerous for them to try. So all of that, to me, makes no sense. It doesn't keep them from getting outdoors. I know I've heard Dave on Bird Trick say it's not if they get out, it's when, because that's what typically happens. Even if they're clipped, at some point in their life, you're gonna leave a door open, crack a door too far, whatever, and zoop, your bird's out that door. It happens to so many people. And if your bird's not trained to be outside, they'll take off. Or they get taken by the wind. Again, if they're clipped and they don't have that much agility, they get taken by the wind, next thing you know, they're gone. And people don't get them back. Like, you can do everything you can to protect them and stuff can happen. Birds just come with their own set of dangers because they do fly. But to take that away from them creates all kinds of psychological damage. You see all the plucked birds, they've always got their wings clipped. They sit there in a cage for most of the day. Is that worth it? Indigo was the happiest bird I've ever seen in my life. Happy. Girl was only in her cage to sleep. She was always with our family, and she got plenty of sunshine and fresh air and vitamin D, which birds need. That's super duper important. So to me, it was really important that we free flight train her so that she knew her surroundings, and we didn't lose her. Obviously, this didn't work out for us very well, and I am talking to Jamie and Dave about how we protect in the future, because we are going to get another bird. How can we protect that bird from the same thing happening, but yet train them so that when they do slip out the door, they're not just gone?
We're hoping to get a new baby bird soon, so
it's honestly like, sometimes I think about it like, oh, I guess like we can get a new bird, like that's okay. But then it's like hard to because getting a new bird is 100% accepting the fact that Indigo's gone. 2, it feels like we're replacing her. I get it, we're not, but it really does, and it's so hard.
Anyway, that's my story, and I love Indigo. And I gave her the best life that I could possibly hope to give a captive bird. And I will miss her forever. So, to my sweet little birdie, I love you.
It's you! You're like a ghost in my mind. I can't escape you. I need to believe it was right letting you go. 'Cause you are like a ghost in my mind. I wanna escape you, but I do not believe it was right letting you go.
How are you?
I can't stand the thought of
It's
losing
so
you.
tiring. You can't handle it.
Tell me, do you think of me too? 'Cause every song just reminds me of you and it kills me. No, it was a mistake letting you go. 'Cause every song just reminds me of you and it breaks my heart. You're still here though we're apart.
What?
Seeing your
What?
face in my dreams, I can't escape you. Like a movie on repeat, the scenes just go on. I'm hearing your voice in my dreams. I wanna escape you. I really think I made a big mistake. I want you to know I can't stand the thought of losing you. Tell me, do you think of me too? 'Cause every song just reminds me of you and it kills me. No, it was a mistake letting you go. 'Cause every song just reminds me of you and it breaks my heart. You're still here though we're apart. Don't tell me it's over.
No. That hurts. It doesn't do.
Don't tell me it's over. No. Don't tell me it's over now. Don't tell me it's over. 'Cause every song just
Hurting for my
reminds me
eyeball.
of you and it kills me. No, it was a mistake letting you go. 'Cause every song just reminds me of you and it kills me. No, it was a mistake letting you go. 'Cause every song just reminds me of you and it breaks my heart. You're still here though we're apart. Don't tell me it's over now. Don't tell me it's over now. Don't tell me it's over now. Don't tell me it's over. 'Cause every song just reminds me of you